Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, and today we want to take a deep dive into Walking Liberty half dollars, graded Mint State 64. So we are going to look at a bunch of Mint State 64 half dollars very closely to get a feel for how to grade. The exercise here is not to be critical of the coin grading companies. The exercise here is to train your eye to get a better idea of how to make the grade and how to cherry pick the nicest coin in the lot. And this is something that the more coins you look at, the better you're going to get at. I'm not going to look a ton at the differences in date and price. I had a customer come in with an old collection, and he had a late date, so mostly from the 40s there. They sometimes called a short set of Walking Liberty halves in Mint State 64. Now, today most of these coins can be had for roughly $50, $60, some are more by date. And I'll say that they're a really neat little set to put together. Sometimes the Warrior set or the short set, as it's called, is kind of a fun set to put together. So one of the things I'm going to show you here, you can almost always tell the San Francisco Mint coins, the S. For those of you who don't know on this series, the mint mark is rather small. And down here and located right there about, what'd you call that, 6, 7, almost 8 o'clock on the coin, right on the rim on the reverse. San Francisco Mint, Philly Mint, and Denver Mint. There's no mint mark for the Philadelphia Mint. So you can almost always tell the San Francisco Mint coins, they are very flatly struck. So one of the things that you got to be aware of is as you look up and down the dress line here, on some coins, it's just going to appear very flat, even though it's still uncirculated. So sometimes that a beginner collector can mistake that for wear. So you look at that coin versus the Denver Mint coin, and you'll see, more detail, because the left hand goes over the dress. And then on this one, where the left hand goes over the dress, it's pretty flat. So as always, when you're grading your coins, looking at graded coins or raw coins, turning them in the light is a benefit to you to be able to see if there's any hairlines and to be able to see if there are contact marks. I will say that so far, this coin here is my favorite as I drop my loop and have to go to my trusty reserve. Always carry 2 loops, right, guys? I mean, I've seen Westerns. So this coin in particular has a nice eye appeal, but also not many contact marks. I'm looking especially at the open field areas first, and then you start to look in the design, and just really a nice, pretty contact-free coin. Anytime you get a group of coins in that are all the same grade, it's just fun to go through them and see what the variances are and how they grade them. You see a few contact marks up there by the T in Liberty. Got that nice big open field above the In God We Trust. And then the sun is pretty clean. And then lots of times on these coins, a lot of the contact marks end up hitting some of that highest point up and down the dress line. And this one's a 1944 from the Denver Mint. And what's interesting is, now, as we compare fields on these, this one got a CAC sticker. Look at that big open field, your eye's drawn right away, not just to the fact that there's a little dark spot or two on the right-hand side, but there's a lot of little chatter, and, compare that field. Let's just get a shot of the field. Now let's look at this field on the one we were just looking at. Do you see the quality difference between the two? And so looking at these two coins, one of which is already CAC'd, CAC is this little green bean here, the CAC. That's a guy who had a brilliant idea and is making a bundle off of us. I'm not complaining. It's actually a really good idea, and a lot of people use it. Maybe I'm just jealous. So then you look at the two coins on the reverse, and the reverse is not too far different. This coin, once again, has a little gentle toning to it, but overall it has a nice look. There's not a lot of contact marks. In the field, you see a couple marks on the eagle's wings there on the right-hand side, but they're pretty small. So far, I'm really a fan of this 47, which is an NGC holder. Let's look at this old Rattler. For those of you who don't know, these very early generation half dollars, pardon me, not half dollars, but the holders from PCGS are called Rattlers because the coin would rattle. Really, it's an affectionate term, but if you think about it, it wasn't, the coins weren't supposed to move in there, really. So you can see on this, that people talk a lot about greatflation and how anything in an old Rattler holder is a better coin. That's not always the case. I do think that this coin, the quality of the surfaces is good overall. I mean, there's not a lot of contact marks. The coin itself, though, has just a touch of haze to it, which affects the eye appeal. It doesn't necessarily affect the value of the coin. It can affect the saleability. Eye appeal can always affect the saleability of a coin, but if you tilt the coin at a certain angle, you'll see that it just looks kind of hazy. It's not what you would call necessarily blast white. You see that little bit of that haziness to it, especially when I get it kind of at this angle. You see how when we drop it down to this angle, all of a sudden the front of that coin looks kind of hidden, cloudy. That's what I'm talking about. Under a bright light like this, they look pretty comparable, but then you get the light at an angle and all of a sudden you get the haze. All right, nice coin. This is still my front runner though, as far as quality, overall quality goes. A couple left here to look at. This 46D, which has just a slightly purple hue to the obverse to the front side of the coin. The reverse, the back of the coin is pretty white still. Also, all of these are really nice quality. The person who put these together, I don't know if I'd say cherry picked. One of the things that you find is that coins that have very comparable prices from one grade to the next, they tend to not be graded as strictly, but the difference between a 64 and a 65 is not that much on most of the coins. You got a few spots in that field to the right. Up and down the dress line, a lot of little chatter. See, a lot of these, oh, look at that. Now, where the light beam is reflecting, you see all that schmutz? That's on the case. So sometimes you got to be careful when you look at a coin through a case because, you don't want to miss something on the coin by looking at junk that's on the case. All right. So MS64 coins, mostly $50, $60, $70. MS65s for the common dates are mostly in the $75 to $100 range. Not a huge discrepancy in price. Let's look at this first from a distance. What do we got here? The 46. The 46 actually has a double die reverse. Not this one, but the double die reverse on this coin is really expensive and high grade. A little bit of gentle toning down at the bottom. Overall, really a pleasing group of coins. Many of these are kind of borderline, borderline mint state 65s, especially the top ones. Now this has, you see some of those lines above "In God We Trust." Let's take a look and see if those are die polish or if those are like scratches on the coin. Let's try to get a closer look there and see if we can tell. Kind of hard to tell when the lines are only in the open field. They appear to be die polish. See on the Y how the lines go behind the Y and not over the Y? That's die polish. Die polish doesn't necessarily affect the value of a coin, but it can affect the eye appeal. And some people, if there's a lot of it, they don't like it. Other people don't mind it at all. So what is your favorite coin? This one's pretty nice. I'm just a super big fan of this 47 here. It looks to be a nicer grade. This coin needs to be conserved. That I don't like the white stuff on it, but the quality of the coin underneath there is really strong. I was actually a really big fan of this 45S. The way the cartwheel works on these Walking Liberty half dollars, you kind of get different luster points to it, but really nice coin. But just the way the luster kind of rainbows here, and when you turn it, it has different pivot points almost, where when you turn it, you see the luster move around and around. So nice group of coins. You can tell me if you had one that was your favorite or not. There was only a couple that I would have said definitely. Ironically, the CACT coin I think would have been my least favorite, just about, with the chatter to the right side there. And then this 47D also didn't necessarily strike me as attractive as the other ones, mostly because it was, I think, didn't have that same eye appeal and pop that some of the other ones did. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. I'm Ben, the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the button in the corner or watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.